Hello, everyone. As you're coming into our first concurrent session, we welcome you, and I am going to give a minute so that folks can get in the room. Okay, I'll start with our little housekeeping. If you were in the prior one, you've heard it, so I apologize, but you may be new for this session. So you are in the concurrent session, first one for today, From Refugee to Entrepreneur, a Journey of Resilience. And welcome. I'm Nikki Powis with the National Disability Institute. If you would like to have captions turned on, you can do that by clicking that CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can also have captions in either English or Spanish via the stream text, and that link is going to pop up for you in the chat box. ASL interpretation has been arranged for all sessions. Two interpreters will alternate throughout the event. To view those interpreters, click Interpretation on the bottom menu and select American Sign Language. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please put them in the Q&A. We will try to get to as many as you can. Don't use the chat box for your questions because we have a lot of chat going on between people and comments, and they may get lost. So put those into the Q&A box, and that's where I'll be looking for those questions. So thanks so much. You may share with others in the chat, though, or comments and things there if they're not actual questions. You can also use that Q&A box if you experience any technical difficulties, or you can click on the live chat button in the menu bar and use the technical support chat room. That's a separate chat room for technical support. If you're unable to use that Q&A box, or you can also email us at info@disabilitysmallbusiness.org for assistance, and we have tech support standing by there. The slides for the session, if you want to look at them yourself or download them, you can click on the session on the live events page of the website. So with all of that, I am delighted to introduce Mali Phonpadith, CEO of SOAR Community Network. Drawing from her own extraordinary journey from refugee to visionary entrepreneur, Mali inspires and empowers others to lead with compassion, foster collaboration, and cultivate cohesive, mission-aligned teams. And having spoken with Mali several times before, she is so inspiring and wonderful, and I am really happy to have you here, Mali. Welcome, and I will let you take over from here.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the National Disability Institute and the Small Business Hub for inviting me to speak today. It's truly an honor to be a part of this powerful community of entrepreneurs, leaders, advocates, as we continue to shape a more inclusive, human-centered world through our work. So thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this community. Again, my name is Mali Phonpadith, and I have been a business owner for over 23 years. I started my entrepreneurial journey in the financial sector, building a practice to support clients in designing more secure futures. But almost 15 years ago, I followed my calling and I became the founder and CEO of SOAR Community Network. Over the years, I've been blessed with opportunities to speak, to facilitate, to present in rooms full of courageous change makers like you. So many people who are building something meaningful, sometimes from the ground up. As a fellow business owner and business leader, I understand firsthand the many twists and turns that come with entrepreneurship and its path. It's a journey filled with long days, sleepless nights, big dreams, hard lessons, as well as beautiful, beautiful wins. And while each of us may face different types of obstacles based on our identities, life circumstances, seen or unseen disabilities or challenges, our access perhaps or lack thereof to resources, perhaps even the current systems that we are challenged with navigating. All of those things really kind of shape our journey and help us decide what type of leader we want to be. One thing is for sure, we share the courage to keep showing up and to keep moving forward. At SOAR, we work with mission-driven organizations to help them develop compassionate leaders, cohesive teams, and foster collaborative cultures using our C3 framework. We really believe in the value of empathy and compassion, and it's the foundation for everything that we do. We're really proud to partner with business owners and senior executives, as well as HR and learning development professionals to help increase engagement. We have an incredible team of facilitators and coaches who help us do this incredible work to help teams thrive and really create a better society through leadership development. Our clients have powerful missions. We've been fortunate enough to support organizations who believe, like we do, that success is not just about profit, it's about purpose and it's about people. And while I think this is very important to state, while I do not live with a disability, I have family members and loved ones who do. And I'm here today in the spirit of mutual respect and, in many ways, similar experiences as entrepreneurs, business owners, community champions. I'm here to share my journey with humility and care, to really convene with you to recognize that although our paths may differ, our drive and our dedication to create meaningful impact in the world connects us. I do understand the joys, the triumphs, and the very real struggle of running a business. And while the obstacles we face may take different shapes, the path of business ownership is never linear. It's winding, sometimes very difficult, with many days, especially in the earlier years, finding ourselves looking in the mirror and asking, why are we still doing this? But certainly the path has been incredibly transformative, at least in my case, and I hope for yours as well. Before we dive into the heart of today's presentation, I do want to offer a quick roadmap. I will begin by sharing my entrepreneurial journey, taking you back to my early story, one of displacement, healing, and determination. Next, I'll walk you through major lessons that I've learned around resilience and leadership. We'll explore reflections to help you stay grounded in your purpose. And finally, I'll leave you with 3 heartfelt takeaways you can carry forward on your path. And I would love to leave some room for questions as well. It has certainly not been an easy road. It's been one heck of a journey for sure for this little girl pictured here in pigtails at the age of 4, alongside a recent photo of me. It's certainly been a ride. The road to entrepreneurship was both difficult and invigorating. And really, quite frankly, it's kind of a miracle at best that I'm presenting before you today. I was born in Laos during wartime. At 4 years old, I fled with my family in a small wooden boat crossing the Mekong River. This is a picture of me with my siblings at the refugee camp in Thailand when we made it there safely. Here is another photo of my siblings with our parents and grandmother inside the refugee camp, where we lived for about a year before arriving to the US. We came with no English, no money, and no sense of what life would be like. We landed in Southeast DC in the dead of winter, fearful of the white flakes falling on our faces because my family had never experienced snow before. At that time, the rhetoric was that DC was the murder capital of the world. And for us, not knowing any other part of the country, this labeling rang true, at least in our neighborhood. This was back in the early 1980s. So instead of bombs, there were bullets and police sirens practically every night. Instead of harmony, there was hunger. I remember my grandmother saying, "We left one nightmare and war zone only to enter another." And yet, even in the chaos, or perhaps because of the chaos, really, I began to imagine how our future could be different. This is an image of a little girl looking outside a window. and it truly representative of what I was feeling in my early childhood. At around 7 years old, I made a silent vow that one day I would create a life where my family never had to worry about survival again. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I imagined a future where I would one day own my own business to create more compassion in the world and to uplift families and communities like ours, helping them move from survival to financial freedom, to creating impact and transcending beyond success into significance, legacy. There really was no time for me to be a kid. It was all about figuring things out quickly and helping my family navigate a world that didn't feel built for us. While other children played, I wrote checks and paid bills as soon as I excelled in English and math. I took a job at 15 to help my parents who worked 2 to 3 jobs cleaning hotel rooms and car dealerships late into the night. I absorbed their quiet persistence, the way that they turned pennies into possibilities, the way they carried themselves with dignity, no matter how heavy life felt for them. They did not stay in victimhood mode and always showed us what it meant to have a growth or optimistic mindset. So much so that my parents had a vision of doing whatever it took to elevate our economic situation. My parents saved every dollar. With their minimum wage jobs and limited English, they placed the bills into a suitcase until they reached $20,000. With that suitcase, they were able to make a down payment on our first home, doing so in only 7 years after arriving to the States. Years later, I graduated at the top of my class in high school. This is an actual picture of me from my high school yearbook, holding a bucket of water while my friend, also named most likely to succeed, pretended to wash a luxury car. I smile and I giggle every time I present this photo because it makes me feel like such a nerd. I practically worked full time during college, studied very hard, barely slept, and eventually graduated from the University of Maryland with 3 degrees, speaking 4 languages. Here's a photo. The first one is of me at my high school graduation, and the second photo is of me standing next to my sister, both of us graduating from the university together. Up to that point, I had a formula. I was very driven as a child, as you can imagine. I followed that formula and I achieved every personal goal and milestone I set out for myself. I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful for the journey and I'm proud of the accomplishments, but it was very intense. I grew up so fast, and looking back, I realized how much necessity and fear played a role in that drive. Throughout my youth, fear was my greatest motivator. But that was not necessarily healthy in terms of mindset to have that at such a young age. I know this now, but back then it was simply striving to move us beyond survival. Now, here's where my story takes a turn. My motivations and my mindset abruptly changed when I was 27 years old. A painful tragedy took place and really became, I believe, the turning point in my life. I found love. I was building a life with my then fiance, Chris, who I dated for 5 years after college. At a picnic to announce our engagement to our extended family members, Chris unfortunately drowned while trying to rescue 5 children from the Potomac River in Virginia. He helped save 4 out of the 5, but unfortunately, when he tried to save the last child, they both did not survive the ordeal. He passed away 3 months before our wedding date. Oof. Grief completely broke me open. The success that I had chased suddenly felt completely hollow. I was alive but empty, walking around looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. I had entered a very dark tunnel. I found myself having to do, I think, the hardest work of all during this very difficult and painful time. I had to learn self-compassion. I had to learn patience with myself, and I also had to learn what self-love actually felt like, what it meant. I had to learn to take care of the whole being. All kinds of insecurities began layering onto my spirit. I had to face the limiting beliefs that whispered, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I had to rewrite those stories that were etched into me by my pains, by my heartbreaks, and by my traumas. And layered within that grief were old wounds that I had carried since childhood. They were revisiting me all at once. Wounds of escaping war, being bullied, remembering times of hunger and witnessing violence around me at a very tender young age, dealing with fear of loss from countless unexpected goodbyes throughout my life, like losing my father to cancer, my best friend to suicide, and my dear grandmother, who was really my best friend as she aged and gracefully said her goodbyes. I had to face this underlying belief system too that were no longer serving me. I don't know if many of you can relate to this, but those feelings included the feeling of not belonging because of where I came from, not belonging because of what I look like, not belonging because I believed deep down or allowed others really to influence the belief that I was something less than, less important, less smart, less beautiful, less capable, just less than others. To stand before you today, to sit with you today, to present to you today, I really had to love the little girl inside of me who once felt so invisible and teach her that she belonged, teach her that she's amazing, and with all of her brokenness and her bruises, that she really, really belonged, not in spite of her differences or her nuances, but because of them. And the healing did not come alone. It came from the form of compassionate souls who saved our families' lives when we arrived in this country. It came from mentors who saw my potential way before I could see it for myself. It came from friends and family members who loved me through sadness, insecurities, doubt, until I could shine again and remember who I was always meant to be. And then in time, as my heart continued to mend and the love within me began to blossom, true love re entered my life. I met Victor, my husband, my life partner, my business partner. This slide here contains photos of our extended family, loved ones, and our clients. Um, it reflects where I am today. You know, Victor and I have built not only a beautiful marriage, but a mission, a business rooted in compassion and purpose and legacy. At first, success for me meant survival, for sure, escaping poverty, silencing fear, seeking acceptance and approval, and definitely working without rest. That felt normal, that felt natural. That's what I learned. But my healing taught me that success without harmony is not the type of fulfillment most of us seek as we chase this concept of success. It's only when we define what success and significance would mean for us um, can we experience that sense of true fulfillment and harmony. I've learned to cherish the ride, work with purpose, and live with intention and integrity. Through loss, through love, through resilience, I came to understand that real success is self-love. It's wellness, wholeness, the ability to create impact with empathy, compassion, and the deepest love for humanity, starting first with my own humanity, and then spreading that love and that respect and that care to my loved ones, to my team members, my clients, my partners, and also throughout my community members. I want to move into how this journey of mine that I am vulnerably sharing today, I want to leave you with the three lessons really that came from this journey called life of mine, the journey of resilience, of healing, of building a business that has become this vessel from which I get to actually live my purpose through. The first lesson, one of the greatest lessons that I've learned is that our lived experiences are not limitations. They are insights. Our stories are the sources of our leadership. They give us the emotional intelligence, the creativity, the empathy needed to run businesses that inspire and motivate others, that change and transform lives. Your lived experiences hold deep wisdom. What you've navigated, whether related to disability, culture, trauma, identity, that equips us with insights others may not necessarily have. That is the strength. This is not setback. Many of us have often carried this belief, consciously or not, that our personal struggles or our backgrounds somehow disqualify us from leadership success. That if we've had to climb too many hills or gigantic mountains, or if our story doesn't quite sound like someone else's version of success, we're at a disadvantage somehow. And I want to invite all of us to flip that narrative, as I have learned to do. Everything we've gone through, whatever it was, navigating systemic barriers and physical or obstacles, perhaps dealing with bias, rebuilding after loss, learning to trust ourselves again. All of this has given us perspectives that many others may not have, and that these insights, they're gold. That's our edge. For me, coming to the US as a refugee taught me adaptability. It taught me resourcefulness and empathy at a very young age. It taught me how to listen before speaking, how to observe, how to connect without always having the right words. Those qualities became the foundation of how I lead, how I serve clients, and how I hold space for transformation in others. So it's incredibly important not to discount what you've lived through. It's not baggage or, quote, too much. It's your brilliance, it's what makes you ready and prepared to meet this moment. Your story builds authentic connection. Most of our clients, partners, team members are drawn to purpose driven leaders who lead with empathy. Sharing your journey helps you resonate more deeply with those you're meant to serve. There's a myth in business that we have to keep things separate, professional over here and personal way over there. After working with thousands of leaders and team members, it's actually our stories and our wisdom that make people lean in. We're not just selling products and services, we're building trust. We're building relationships with the intention of creating positive shifts in people's lives through what we have to offer them. And when people see that you're grounded in something real, when they feel your sincerity, when they know you've become or overcome some things to get you where you are, they feel safer with you. They trust your leadership. They trust your guidance. I've had clients tell me, Malie, it's not just SOAR's C3 framework, it's how you and your team deliver it. It's the energy you bring, it's the knowing that you've walked through the fire and still lead with heart and love and compassion. That's the power of our stories, not in the drama of it, but in the humanity. Don't be afraid to share parts of your journey with your team, with your clients, and even in your messaging. When you do it with intention, authenticity, and integrity, you create a kind of connection that's really lasting. So these types of lessons were really parts of the turning points for me. For a long time, I thought I had to compartmentalize who I was, that the intuitive part of me, the poet, the deeply feeling person, the empath, had to stay separate from the CEO. But it wasn't until I brought all of that together, aligned my soul with my strategy, that SOAR truly began to soar. We truly began to build a viable business, a sustainable business, where our clients are repeatedly coming to us because of the level of care. That's when I started attracting the right clients, mentors, advisors, and even coaches and facilitators to join our team. When who you are is in sync with how you lead, there's less friction, less burnout. more clarity, more confidence, joy, and definitely more impact. This doesn't mean that you have to share everything with everyone, right? We all have unique preferred work styles, unique leadership styles, but it simply means that you can no longer leave pieces of you outside the door. You get to lead if you choose. You get to lead with the whole of you. You get to design a business that reflects what you value, honors your truth, and supports the way you work best. I want to share some reflection questions from each of these lessons that I've learned. The first question, what have I overcome that now gives me insights that others may not have? Again, for me, I overcame displacement as a child refugee, the trauma of cultural disconnection, the sudden loss of my fiance, the constant pressure to prove my worth in spaces where I didn't always feel valued or empowered. These experiences taught me how to navigate uncertainty with grace, how to build safety in unsafe systems, and how to truly listen, not just to words, but to energy and to intuition. That insight allows me to hold space for teams in conflict, cultures in transition, and leaders who feel misunderstood, underrepresented, and undervalued. It shaped the foundation of SOAR and how we serve our clients today. Take some time to reflect on what this means for you. Reflection two, where do my identity or does my identity and lived experiences give me an edge in connecting with my audience or customers and clients? As a Lao American woman who grew up in diverse neighborhoods, a refugee, an author, a poet, all of those things, business owner. I also speak the four languages. My identities, they create the whole of who I am and who I bring forth into the world. It's not parts of me. I want to bring forth all of me. Because of all of me, all of who I am holistically, I am capable of bridging cultures, communities, and leadership styles. It helps me connect with immigrant founders, diverse leaders across generations and sectors and cultural backgrounds. I enjoy learning from heart centered executives. I love supporting public sector leaders and mission driven organizations because that's the whole of who I am. And I bring that forth through my leadership and through my business. Lesson two, healing as part of growth and self-awareness is a powerful, powerful starting point. Building a business while healing is not distraction. It feels painful, yes, but it's definitely part of the process. As I built SOAR, I discovered that many of the leaders I work with were also carrying unhealed stories. When I paused to explore those stories, the leadership breakthroughs were very powerful. Healing is not pause from progress. It's part of it. It's the challenges you face personally and professionally aren't distractions from this path. They shape your depth. They shape your empathy. I always say it builds my empathy bucket so far, so deep, so wide that I can just about support anyone or at least relate to just about anyone. Self-awareness is a powerful starting point. When you pause to understand your emotional landscape, your triggers, your patterns, you lead with greater clarity, with greater intention, with greater compassion, because you can feel this for others. In all of my years as a business owner, I've learned that the way we lead others is often a reflection of how we lead ourselves, where we are in our lives. And self-awareness, true, honest awareness, is the key to unlocking the most grounded leadership. At SOAR, we often say compassion without clarity can lead to confusion, but clarity without compassion can lead and can feel really cold. So this is why we really want you to bring your best efforts forward. These are also things that I want you to ask yourself. Who am I as a leader? What boundaries do I need to protect my peace while striving to meet those business milestones? Where can I invite more compassion into my workplace? Who can I support on this journey? Okay. I really wish we had more time and I can give you more examples, but there's one more lesson that I want to make sure that we cover, so I leave plenty of room for us to ask and answer questions. For a long time, I thought resilience was about pushing through. Now I know it's about building systems, support, and self awareness. Allow resilience to influence your strategy. So, what does resilience or what could it look like? It could look like designing your schedule around your energy, hiring people who align with your mission, saying no to opportunities that compromise your values. You don't need to do more, you need to do what matters and build support around that. That is your mission, that is your purpose in life. Build momentum around that. Resilience isn't just also an internal trait, it's a strategic asset. It's something that we can build upon. It's like muscle memory. We have to practice it. Let your lived experience guide how you structure your time, build your team, and design your business. What you've lived through gives you the wisdom to lead differently. We often talk about resilience like it's something you only need in hard times, like a reserve tank, if you will, that you tap into when things are going wrong. But I've come to view resilience not just as an emotional strength, but really a strategic advantage. The fact that you've navigated challenges means you've been building capacity this entire time. That capacity, that insight, that's your compass. It informs how you choose your partnerships, how you hire, how you set your pace, and even how you price your services. Your resilience is already shaping how you lead. Now let that shape how you build with clarity, with intention. Navigate towards your North Star. And if you don't know what that North Star is, take the time, the resources, and the investment to map your North Star. Ultimately, what is it that's yours to do? What is it that your business is here, designed, created, built to do? Designing with resilience in mind creates sustainable success. Let's be honest, many of us were taught to succeed, we had to grind nonstop. Hustle culture told us outwork, outperform, never show fatigue. Life experiences taught me that. But if you want to create something that lasts, something that nurtures both impact and inner peace, we have to build for sustainability, not survival. And that starts with honoring our energy and our team's energy. For me, that meant no longer saying yes to everything. Oh my gosh. It meant being more honest with myself about when I needed rest, when I needed support, and when I needed to stop proving. It meant building boundaries and limitations on my calendar and setting clear expectations with my team. When was it my time to strategize, and when it was it my time to reflect for the benefit of the team and our clients and our community. It also meant putting systems in place, automation, checklists, delegation, the RACI chart, who's responsible, accountable, who needs to be communicated with, who needs to be informed, so that the delegation becomes, again, a part of our operationalizing the type of culture we want. A resilient strategy benefits everyone. So often we think that adjusting our business to meet needs is selfish, that prioritizing mental health or spiritual alignment or disability accommodations might slow things down for ourselves and for others, make us less competitive. But what I've seen in my business and my experience and those that I've supported is that when leaders build with care, the ripple effect is undeniable. And there are so many stats and research papers now that prove this point, that we can exponentially grow, that we can actually bring in more revenue, make more profit when we care for our people. When you operate from transparency to humanity, people trust you more. And when people feel safe, emotionally, physically, culturally, they contribute more fully. They bring their best ideas forward. You don't have to ask them to work more. They will gladly volunteer to put forth all of their gifts and their talents. Here are some reflection prompts for your next action steps as we come to a close of this time together. What current practices support both my success and my well being? I'll give you some of my own examples here. One of the most important practices I've adopted, which I've mentioned earlier, is creating space between my commitments. I used to overschedule myself to meet everyone's needs, but that left me leaving the room feeling completely exhausted. I didn't have time to breathe. I didn't have time to reflect. So now I build intentional buffer times in between within my calendar between meetings, and especially between serving clients or having speaking engagements like this, because I want to bring my best self forward, and I need time to refuel to do that. That space to help me regulate my energy, think clearly, and show up fully is really the difference between a good leader and a great leader. Because we're all humans. We're going to be tired and we're going to feel frustrated. And if we don't take that time to pause and refuel, we're not going to be able to show up fully as our best selves on a consistent basis. These buffers are even more critical for you all out there who have automated schedulers or have team members who can book your meetings on your behalf. We have to remind them that you need those buffers, okay? Two, what responsibilities or tasks could I release or delegate to protect my energy and focus? Okay. Three, where in my business do I need stronger systems, structure, or support to make it more resilient and sustainable? As SOAR grew, I realized that our internal systems needed to grow with us. We were relying on ad hoc communication or manual processes, and we needed to invest in better CRMs and project management tools so that we can also be able to hand this off and continue to grow our business and allow it to be sustainable. Four, how can I design or adjust my work environment to reflect my needs and values as a leader? Five, what does resilience look like for me now? And how can I honor that in a way that leads my team and serves my clients best? Okay. So for me, today, resilience looks like presence. It looks like knowing when to push forward, when to pause. It looks like honoring rest when I need it for those best results. I now lead more and more from a place of wholeness. That's the truth. It's been a long journey to get here, but that's where I really think about my compass. I encourage my team and my clients to practice that, and we bring practices so that we can kind of stay in alignment with that goal of ours for all of us to be well. Resilience is no longer something I chase, I guess, if you say, in moments of crisis. It's something I design into our culture. It's a way of being. It's a way of doing business. All right. As we close out and begin to close out this time together, I want to leave you with three main takeaways. These aren't just ideas, they're reminders. I've repeated to myself when I needed to remember who I am and what I'm here to build, what I'm here to offer to the world. So, one, your story and strength are strategic assets. I used to think that my story had to be tucked away, but I learned over all these years that the very things I thought disqualified me were the things that helped me connect most deeply, most genuinely, most authentically. Even with my audience, this topic I would have never touched upon my childhood journey, even 7 or 10 years ago. Two, design your business around your truth. There were years I tried to build my business based on someone else's definition of success or looking up competitors, which I don't really believe in competition anymore. There's just so much work to be done. But I used to compare myself. I chased strategies that didn't fit me, routines that burned me out, and clients that didn't align. So being able to select the ideal clients has been such a transformation for me as a leader and for us as a business. So then that really changed for me when I began asking myself, I would say, better questions. What brings me internal peace while still being energized and motivated to move forward, to grow, and to build and to do meaningful work? What feels purposeful? What relationships honor who I really am? The more I leaned into these truths, the more sustainable my business became. You belong. This is very important. You belong in any room. If you take nothing from me today, let it be this. You truly belong in this community. in your business, in every space where ideas are born, visions are shared, and sometimes visions are debated. You belong, and where your impact really can be made. You don't need permission to take up time, space, resources. You don't need to prove anything to be worthy of opportunities or success. I know what it feels like to enter rooms and wonder if my presence, my ideas, my contributions even mattered. But I have come truly to learn that presence also is powerful, that being fully who you are is the greatest gift you can offer to yourself. That confidence that comes from knowing who you are, standing firm on your values, is such a gift to your clients, your team, and to this world. So please keep showing up, keep moving forward with your story, with your strategy, and with the spoken and often quiet confidence that you are more than enough to make a unique imprint and to create ripple effects that are absolutely immeasurable. Thank you for this opportunity to be with you. I'm so grateful. I feel so blessed to be here today. I understand maybe not the exact battles, but certainly wounds that you have faced to be here as well. I can relate to many of the wounds that you bear. And I hope that you can relate to some of mine. I also know this: when we stay connected to our purpose, when we find support from our communities and from each other, and when we stay the course, even in the darkest of moments, we can and we will manifest the dreams planted in our hearts. So thank you so much for allowing me to share my journey with you today. Let's stay connected, grow in community, and just, be that support system for each other. Please use the QR code if you want to book some time with me, or you can just email me at Mali, MALI, at SOAR, SOAR, communitynetwork.com. You're not alone on this path. Be well, and I wish you so much success on your journey.
Ali, thank you. That was truly beautiful and so vulnerable. We have a lovely comment in the chat that says, I love your vulnerability, authentic self, and relational words. They are all deeply resonating with me, and I feel seen. So just goes to show the power of what you're sharing. And as you were sharing, even if there are people here that have not walked the same path or journey perhaps as you have, that it's still that message of resilience, and many people that have disabilities experience a lot of the same sorts of things as you've talked about. So I think I'm sure that a lot of people can really resonate with you. Powerful story, somebody said, and thank you for sharing the powerful message. We do have a question for you, and that is, what is your current why?
Hmm. My current why, and really my why since I was a little girl, has not changed. When I came to the US, the compassionate leadership and my desire to build and develop more compassionate leaders in the world came from when my family was sponsored by a church in Maryland from the refugee camp. And the church sponsored us by one deciding vote, not because they didn't want to, but because it was a tiny church that had to take on 7 people. And I always thought at age 4, why would anybody do that? They've never met us, they don't know us. And that's really the seed of compassionate leadership, was kind of like embedded into my heart, into my spirit. And eventually, over time, it kept calling to me. And eventually, that pragmatic side of me of survival really started to listen to my soul's calling, which is, why not build more compassionate leaders? Why not support other people so they can see a world where we can all come together, that you would support a stranger or a family from across the world. And ultimately, my ultimate North Star is, maybe it won't happen in my lifetime, friends, but to eradicate war, because we have billions of compassionate souls walking here on this planet. So the vision is truly ethereal, truly huge, but I get up every morning knowing that that's what I exist for. I want to pause, Nikki, for something before everybody drops off. In one of the slides, because you're going to be able to download it, there is another QR code. I didn't dive in because I was mindful of our time today. Please go to that slide. It's lesson number 2, and it has a QR code for you to take your behavioral assessment. If you have not taken the predictive index behavioral assessment, please do so. This particular assessment has had over 400 independent validity studies done on the science, and it will give you a free resource, a report of what your behavioral drivers are, what your strengths are, what might be some caution areas, what might be holding you back, what are those, what we call motivational drivers or patterns, because that could be influencing your leadership or your relationships. And when you take that assessment, because I care deeply for this community, I have, like I said, family members who also have disabilities. I really want to offer up, if those are interested, especially if you're leading teams and struggling, or you don't want to struggle, there's an opportunity to book a short session with me to talk through what those things can do, how behavioral drivers can support developing a more compassionate, more cohesive team dynamics for your business. Okay.
Yes, and to answer another question in the chat, yes, that QR code is in Marley's presentation, and that is downloadable. If you go to this session link, you'll find her presentation that you can download. Do you know off the top of your head, Marley, which slide it's on?
Yes, it is going to be on slide number 23. And it is the one that says lesson 2, reflect and ask yourself. That QR code is going to be the QR code that leads you to that free assessment. Once you submit it, you'll get a high level report of your strengths and caution areas behaviorally, and an opportunity to book a debrief session with me or with my team members who are certified with this particular science.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope everybody takes advantage of that. I think I'm going to go check that out myself.
Please do.
Okay, and a reminder, contact information for Mali is also there by clicking in the session on the live events page of the website. Also, please don't forget to fill out that brief feedback survey, which you'll also find there visiting the live events page and clicking on the rate this session. We love to hear from you. We want feedback. So please take a moment for that. We are going to stop in just a minute so you have a few minutes to get to the next session. And also remember to go check out those booths, the resources that are available. Take a look at the Verizon information where there's a wealth of information for small business development. And another quick plug for the Small Business Credit Survey. This is put on by the Fed, and it really is something that is underrepresented from the disability small business community. And we really want those voices heard. And there are pieces of it, if you're uncomfortable filling out, that you can skip. But just hearing your voice and having you fill that out would be great. So that is also there as well in one of the resource booths. Okay, all right. Well, with that, again, Molly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely wonderful. And please have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay with us and join us as a participant viewer if you would like. We'd love to have you. Otherwise, goodbye and thank you. We're going to go ahead and end the session.
Take care,
And
everyone.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye.